Reactions and delivery receipts aren't as innocent as they might seem. Researchers have revealed how they can be used for surveillance, revealing what time you leave your house every morning, when you arrive at work, when you're in the middle of a phone call, and even what kind of phone you're using. This affects almost everyone using Signal or WhatsApp. It requires no malware and can all be done silently. Also in your hacking news roundup, Wi-Fi hacking on a plane just cost a super creepy guy 7 years in prison. But first, for someone to exploit this, it only requires that they know your phone number. It was discovered by researchers at the University of Vienna, raising the alarm in their paper, Careless Whisper. So when you send a message, it's first sent to a WhatsApp or Signal server, and you get your first checkmark. But only when the message actually reaches the recipient do you get a second checkmark, which acts as your delivery receipts. Now, on the surface, this only reveals when your message was received, but by timing how long this process takes, you can reveal a scary amount of information about the recipient. There is a bit of an explanation coming up here, but stick with me because this is really very cool. First, let's take the most basic example, where a sender can determine what state your phone is in. Is it locked, unlocked, or have you got WhatsApp open? We'll be using WhatsApp as an example going forward, but all this applies to Signal too. In the researcher's demonstration here, the victim phone starts off as locked. All the while, it's being constantly spammed with messages by an attacker, with each blue dot representing the time taken for the attacker to receive their delivery receipt. But when the phone is unlocked, the time taken goes way down, and when it's locked again, it goes straight back up. But when WhatsApp is actually open, the delivery receipts are received almost instantly. This makes it really easy for an attacker to differentiate between whether a victim's phone is locked, unlocked, or if WhatsApp is open. But if the victim is being spammed, why aren't they getting any notifications? Rather than regular messages, the researchers are spamming reactions. These also generate delivery receipts, but don't generate notifications. Well, at least they don't when you react to your own message. On top of that, using open source WhatsApp clients, they're able to send reactions to messages that just don't even exist, resulting in a victim phone just discarding them, with the user having no idea that they're being spammed, making this totally invisible. And on WhatsApp, there's no rate limiting, making it possible to send one reaction every 50 milliseconds. That's 20 reactions per second, but rate limiting on Signal limited them to just 1 per second. And by the way, unlike read receipts, delivery receipts cannot be turned off because they're integral to the way that these apps work. And it doesn't matter whether a message is coming from someone in your contacts or a total stranger, your phone will still send delivery receipts. Other than being able to tell what state a phone is in, fingerprinting what brand the phone is also possible here. For example, phones made by Apple, Samsung and Xiaomi all have on average slightly different response times, and an attacker can also tell whether you're currently on Wi-Fi or using cellular. On Wi-Fi, the ping time is very predictable, however on cellular, it's all over the place. And you can even see some very concentrated activity here. That's when the victim had the app open and we're in the middle of a phone call. This whole chart could be generated for almost any WhatsApp or Signal user with only knowledge of their phone number. And if you use desktop clients, that only multiplies the problem. Thanks to the way encryption is handled, each of your devices generates its own read receipts, so an attacker can grab the same data for them and overlay this information, showing which devices are currently able to send read receipts and therefore which devices are online. All this activity is from a willing participant, or so the researchers tell us. We can see when someone's home PC is on and exactly when they turn it off, and the same thing for their work laptop, making it really easy to work out where this person physically is throughout the day. Are they at home, work, or somewhere in between? Remember, no malware is needed here. You only need to know someone's phone number, making it easy to put together a detailed map of someone's daily activities, the kind of thing that would give three-letter agencies a wet dream. And if an attacker used the previous WhatsApp exploit we saw in a recent video, they could leverage a single image of someone's face to grab their phone number and then use this latest vulnerability to spy on their habits. An attacker could also use this to infer connections between a whole list of targets, like if two people consistently had the app open at the same time, you could assume they're probably talking to each other. But let's forget about the surveillance for a second. Remember the zero rate limits on WhatsApp? By constantly spamming reactions, an attacker could really inflate your phone bill, eating through data at a rate of 13 gigabytes per hour, which would also annihilate your battery at a rate of up to 18% per hour. And you'd have no idea because, again, this is all done silently. But this isn't as much of a problem on Signal because thanks to rate limiting, an attacker could only cost you 360 megabytes per hour. Disclosure is always a fun topic. Did our techno overlords care about the problem? No, they didn't. Both Meta and Signal were informed in September 2024. Meta responded with just a copy-paste message saying that they'd received the report, but fell silent until a whole year later when they provided an update that the report had now been forwarded to the relevant team. As for Signal, the researchers didn't hear anything back at all. But there are preventative steps you can take. On Signal, change your phone number privacy settings so no one can find you using it. As for WhatsApp, they recently introduced a new privacy setting under Advanced, which lets you block high volumes of messages from unknown accounts. It's unclear if this was introduced in response to this attack method, and we don't know if it even prevents the kind of attack that uses sneaky invisible reactions. But enabling it is free, so you might as well. The researchers gave a DEF CON talk on this, which I'll make sure to link down in the description. Next up, a guy has just been sentenced to 7 years in prison for Wi-Fi hacking on a plane. If this gives you deja vu, we did briefly take a look at this story last year, but now we have a lot more details. This began in a flight over Australia, when airline employees noticed a suspicious Wi-Fi network. It looks like some kind of a clone of their actual in-flight Wi-Fi, but when you connected to this one, the captive portal offered you free internet if you logged in with social media. Far too generous by airline standards, and in reality, it was just a fake login page designed to grab your credentials, making this a textbook example of an evil twin Wi-Fi attack. The airline radioed this into police, who after landing, searched people's bags until they found the one guy with one of these things in his carry-on. It might look like some kind of a Wi-Fi hacking device, and that's because it most definitely is. After seizing and analysing his devices, police found this wasn't his first attempt at Wi-Fi hacking. He'd done the same thing on other flights and at various airports across Australia. But why grab random people's social media credentials? Well, he'd log into their accounts, specifically targeting women, apparently, monitoring their communications and stealing their nudes. And this seems to have been quite a hobby for the guy, because police found thousands of intimate images and videos, and to make matters worse, we can clearly see from the body cam that we're not dealing with some hormonal 16-year-old who's watched one too many hacking tutorials, but rather a fully grown 44-year-old man, who, keen on making things worse for himself, just a day later started deleting files from his cloud storage and even unsuccessfully tried to remotely wipe his phone, earning him a couple extra charges for the attempted destruction of evidence. He also tried to spy on meetings between the police and his employer, but law enforcement aren't telling us much about this, only that he used a software tool to do it and that the meetings were supposed to be confidential. Eventually, the man pled guilty to a whole array of charges and will spend the next 7 years and 4 months in prison. At most, free Wi-Fi might try to milk an email address out of you, but having to log in to any third-party account should be a huge red flag. However, in their press release, Australian police wrongly seem to think that using a VPN is some kind of a defense for this. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.